Minimalism didn't start with 12 quarters, but we had 12 quarters in our savings account when we started minimalism, when we started decluttering and getting rid of everything. One of the very first things that was affected was our bank account. And the second thing was mindset. In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 unexpected ways that my life was affected and my family's life was affected because of minimalism, because of living with less. Welcome to the channel. My name is Erica Lucas. I typically share videos about minimalism, decluttering, and then organizing everything that is left. When you have more that needs to go out to bills and debtors than you have coming into your household income as your household income, you got a problem. And I had a problem. I had a spending problem. We had a debt problem. And those were things that I just ignored year after year. We made minimum payments, but we did have to scrape together dollars to make minimum payments. There were months that we had to choose what was going to get money and what was not going to get money. And what did not get money ever was a savings account. And minimalism helped me prioritize savings. And it did that in a lot of different ways. I've talked about my spending habits in another video that I'll link up here. Living with less, decluttering, and getting rid of things only works if you stop bringing unnecessary things in as replacements. And I had to address that for myself. We had duplicates and triplicates of things. I bought not knowing what we had. I bought unnecessarily. I shopped unnecessarily. I did not shop with purpose before. And we had hundreds, if not thousands, of items in our house that we didn't need. I could never find anything, so I would just buy it again. And that perpetuated our debt and perpetuated the inability to ever put money aside for savings. And when we first started this, and the recommendation from Dave Ramsey and many was to get $1,000 set aside as emergency savings. And the idea of doing that felt insurmountable. It felt impossible to put aside $1,000 when I could barely put enough money together to pay bills and to stop using the credit card to compensate for the lack of money. And so I had to get down that spending. And when I started tracking every dollar and creating a budget for us, I became very aware of my spending patterns, my husband's spending patterns, and how we did not prioritize savings at all. And once I started trimming down things that we didn't need to spend money on, it created a way for us to make bigger payments to debtors and put money aside at the same time. And when we hit that first $1,000, it felt so fantastic. I felt like I could breathe out, like I'd been holding my breath for the whole time it took to save that $1,000. I finally exhaled. We had a chance to say, okay, if an emergency happens, we have a little bit of money set aside to cover it, and we don't need to use the credit card. We had a way of not using the credit card and continuing to pay our bills and continuing to save. Minimalism just changed my thought process on so many things. And that mindset shift is foundational in minimalism, I believe. You can declutter and get rid of things and not be a minimalist, absolutely. If you choose to live as a minimalist, your decision-making process changes. The foundation of how you think about items, your own money, how you take care of yourself, how you treat your family, how you want to spend your time, how you want your family to spend your time, all of that changes when you shift how you feel about living intentionally and living with less than you had before. Number 3, when I first started getting rid of stuff, I thought that was going to be the answer to my anxiety and my stress. I couldn't clean our house. We had so much stuff. I cried a lot because I couldn't find things I knew we owned. And because I really couldn't even move in my own house. We had rooms we couldn't use. They were stacked to the ceiling with just stuff that I didn't know how to get rid of or how to let go of. And I thought that by purging all of these things, that would solve the stress and anxiety level. Another way that minimalism unexpectedly affected me was as a mother. My motherhood, my approach to motherhood is different. I can tolerate messes far easier now because we have less going on. The mess is centralized. It's because of an art activity or a science project or just simply playing for hours on end and we end up with a mess. But it's easy to tidy up and clean and put things away when you have less to deal with and you don't have to move something in order to get to something, or you don't have to move something in order to clean something. I wanted to be able to spend time with my children without the anxiety of clutter all around us. I wanted to be able to play with my children without trying to find something I knew they wanted to play with or they asked to play with that I couldn't find because we had so much stuff to sift through that we couldn't find it. I struggled with that a lot at the onset of minimalism. Living with less meant less toys, less school materials, less things that would distract them, and improved their focus and enhanced their play, in my opinion, that they now have selected the toys they want to keep and they play intentionally and longer with those toys. And they're quite creative and build these fortresses. And it's part of childhood that I really wanted for them that they didn't have the space for, the physical space for in our house. And the stress level and the anxiety that did come from clutter is so much lessened now that it positively affects me as a mother. I am, less irritated at messes and less irritated when toys are left on the floor. It's still really irritating to step on a Lego, but at least Legos have a home and they need to just get cleaned up and put away. Whereas before, Legos would just be all over the house. Every room in the house would have Legos, and now they're all centralized. Minimalism also affected how I feel when company comes over, or when a service technician is in the house, or my family visits. Before, the stress of the way the house looked and felt, and it wasn't clean the way that I would hope so when somebody stops by. It's so different now because it's far easier to keep clean. Is it clean all the time? No chance. So now when company comes over, I don't feel the need to run around the house or to centralize company to one room or do a super fast clean of the family room so we could all sit in and have company visit, but they were not invited in the rest of the house. That's how I used to approach it. And now it's fine. Go wherever you want to go. I used to actually even not have people come over because I was so concerned about the clutter and that we couldn't even go in rooms as a family. How was I ever going to let company, friends, and family put eyes on something like that? The shame that I felt from all that stuff would have a light cast on it when people would come over. So I really didn't even have people come over. Definitely kids bring messes. And the realization of how messy my children really are came to be in minimalism, because I couldn't see the forest through the trees, as the expression goes. We'd have messes everywhere all the time, but it was all the background of it was all just piles and piles of stuff. So it was just a mess among the messes. And now messes absolutely stand out in our house. If someone played with the dollhouse in the playroom and left it all over the place, it is evident that they did that because it's not put away. It is not surrounded by a million other toys anymore where it gets lost. So I've become very aware of the messes that my children make. And now I can allow space for it, physical space and mental space. I can allow them to just destroy the playroom in whatever way they want, and then we put it away. Well, we usually put it away. Whereas before, they wouldn't even have a place to put things away. The shelves would be already stashed with other things. There was no way they could clean up. The expectation of them cleaning up was impossible because there was so much stuff in the way, or so many things that they had to put away to meet my expectation. And now tidy up takes 10 minutes. And that acceptance as a mother is very freeing. There's a lot of freedom in that. Just to let my kids just play and make a mess. A big unexpected way that minimalism has affected my life has been understanding the importance of saying no and the importance of saying yes, and that there needs to be a line that gets drawn when you are making decisions about how you want to spend your time and how you want to spend your money. And I did not have those boundaries before minimalism. And at the very beginning, one of the things I really wanted to be able to do was to say yes to my kids more often, because they heard no from me a lot, because I didn't want another mess. I didn't want more clutter. I didn't want to spend my time looking for something that they wanted. So I said no a lot. And I was also unhappy, and I was stressed and anxious all the time. And saying yes was difficult. Saying yes to playing a game, saying yes to Play-Doh, saying yes to art, saying yes to going for a walk, yes to playing outside. Those things were hard for me because I felt compelled to deal with the clutter first. I felt compelled to clean the kitchen. I felt compelled to put something away so that I had some control over my house. At the beginning of this, I did not realize how depressed, unhappy, anxious, and stressed I was before I started living intentionally and living with less. I now care enough about myself to get the shower, get my hair done, do my makeup, choose something I love wearing, walking into a closet that I have spent time, 1.5 years, cultivating to the point that I love everything that's in it. And choosing fabrics and fits that make me feel happy and good. I didn't put the time into myself that I do now. And it might seem to some of you like, yeah, get a shower, do your hair. Those things are hard when you are struggling with depression. Those are difficult things to do. And I do not want to minimize anything that someone is going through. And if you are going through a depressive episode or depression or anxiety and you have those things going on, I encourage you to talk to someone, that you are not alone in how you feel. And my depression and anxiety would manifest itself in the house, in rooms we couldn't use because they were stuffed with things I bought that we didn't need, with clutter, with excuses of, I can't clean because there's just too much stuff in the way, and it would take me 2 hours to deal with the clutter before I could even spend the time cleaning. And that made me depressed, more depressed than I already was. The personal journey that I went on in the last 1.5 years started from minimalism and living with less and making different choices and changing the way my mind felt and worked and decided on things. Then was I able to try to focus on myself and really understand the way that I was feeling and how that would manifest in stuff and how it would manifest in me saying no to my kids because I didn't have the energy or the mental fortitude to be able to say yes to the things I wanted to say yes to. And thinking about that now definitely pokes at my heart because that is not the way it is now. And now when my kids say, let's play a game, sure, I happen to know where all the games are, and I happen to know the table is completely clear and available for game playing. And that's not the way we used to live, and that's how we are now. And it's joyful and happy, and I absolutely still have anxiety and stress and depressive episodes, and that is something that millions of people deal with. And I just have different ways of coping with it now and recognizing it, and I asked for help. And I encourage you, if you are feeling this way, you are not alone. Please know that you are not alone, and I encourage you to ask a medical professional for help. So I've always been one to research my decisions, for self-development, perpetually educate myself. I'm a voracious reader. These are things that have always just been part of who I am. But now I am researching more sustainable choices for cleaning supplies, makeup, clothing, food waste, laundry detergent. I mean, everything has a decision-making tree around sustainability for me now. It's still therapeutic to walk the aisles of Target and go visit Joanna and see what stuff she has, but I don't go in there and spend $1,000 needlessly. I go in there with intention and enjoy the experience, and don't tax myself with the stress of worrying about how I'm going to pay for it. Should I buy it? Can we use it? Do I love it? Do I need it? I don't, that's not taxing for me anymore because I know those answers easily now. I really got into minimalism because I wanted to be able to spend more time with my family in a way that I didn't feel guilt and stress about the way the house felt. That's what started me on it. And it's so much more for me now. And I knew that I would be able to spend more time with my family if I got rid of the junk that was holding me back physically and mentally. But I had no idea that I could expect to live so intentionally with my time and my money. Living intentionally it's part of who I am all day, every day. And that's unexpected. It's really changed me at the core. Minimalism has really changed me at the core. And thinking back to who I was a year and a half ago feels like a stranger. It feels like a different person. And I understand who she was and how she got there. But making these sweeping changes in my life was not easy, was not overnight. And it's taken a long time to come to grips with the financial guilt and the emotional guilt and letting go of things. Which one of these things did you think was the most unexpected that you would not tie to minimalism in the way that I have? Thank you for sharing your time with me, and thank you for watching. Would love for you to subscribe and join our YouTube family here online, where I share videos about minimalism, decluttering, and organizing everything that's left.